think it was Rich asked a question about would you be open if they wanted you to come back and they said they wanted to draft the guy in the first round. I said, yeah, of course. I mean, like, wouldn't be the first time. I mean, maybe if they gave me a heads up, that would be the first time for that. But I know what it was like to be a first round pick and to be in the room with a Hall of Famer. And I tried to, to help Jordan as much as possible. And if there's a situation where the new staff came in and wanted me to be there, also wanted to make a pick for the future and pick a quarterback if there was one there they really liked, then yeah, of course.
Of course, Aaron Rodgers there on McAfee. Jeff, after things went so wrong with the Jets, should they want him back next year?
It's a tough question for me, but I would probably say yes. I mean, if you look at how he's played as the season has progressed, he's played well enough that unless you have a for sure replacement, I'm not really sure where you go. And that's now, to his point, you draft one and you want him to bring one along. I like that idea. I'm not sure you're winning a ton of games with him right now and just, taking the Jets off the top. But when you think about Aaron Rodgers, I don't know that there's anybody out there, maybe a Kirk Cousins, because I'm sure he's not going to be in Atlanta long. Maybe a Sam Darnold going back would be a shock. So other than from vets guys getting passed up, I don't know. So you take your chances on a rookie who you think's ready to play. Honestly, Rodgers is probably going to be better than what you bring in.
Shay, what do you think?
There are only a handful of things that get better with age, and Aaron Rodgers is not any of them. Wine, cheese, cognac, whiskey, blue jeans. I'm trying to figure out which one is he. But let me ask you this.
Blue jeans.
Let me ask you this, Saturday.
Yeah.
They get better vintage blue. But that's neither here nor there. Y'all need to do some research. Y'all need to become more worldly because y'all in this bubble. Saturday, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Let's just say for the sake of argument, they draft a rookie quarterback. And they want to insert said rookie quarterback like they did Michael Penix Jr. with Kirk Cousins. Is Aaron Rodgers going to be okay with that now?
No.
Hell no. You know exactly.
I agree with that.
You're right. That's why you move on.
Yeah.
I've gotten the max production. What I believe.
Yeah, hold on. Let's say I think Aaron is thinking about the situation that he was in with Favre, where you would give him at least a year that he would continue to be a starter. If you draft a guy that you think needs to play that year, I agree with you. I don't think Aaron Rodgers goes quietly into the night. So I agree with you there.
But you look at this Jets organization, Stephen A. You're trying to move forward. And if you're trying to move forward, you have a guy who's brought in basically all his guys, Devontae Adams, Alan Lazard, all of these. Okay. And you ain't won no games. You only won basically
4-11. He has thrown for 3,500 yards, 24 touchdowns, just, 8 interceptions this year. So it's not awful statistically.
Right.
But we know that when we talk about Aaron Rodgers, it extends far beyond statistics. So I'm going to defer to Shannon and Jeff on this one. But Shannon, I'm going to give it to you and Jeff, but with this question. Jeff, you started off saying it was a difficult question for you to answer. Tell the audience why. Why was it difficult for you?
Because I think the distraction that he brings to the team is difficult to overcome. You saw what happened with Saleh getting fired. It's weekly appearances on whatever. It's just there's a lot that goes with it. And if you're Aaron Rodgers, you can play through distraction because you've played for 20-plus years. Most guys can't play through distraction, and you saw a team that didn't meet near the expectations on either side of the ball, and you would begin to question why that is, right? If the one thing that came in and got everything he wanted, and that didn't meet the mark that you want, other than him, bringing in and helping a young player come along, it would be tough. That would be my answer for that.
Go ahead, Shannon.
You're absolutely right, Saturday. And the problem is he keeps talking about the leaks and the distraction. He's the main culprit. He's the one that's causing the distraction.
Right.
He keeps talking about building a culture. Well, these last 2 games are going to show us who wants to be here. Well, who wanted to be there when they had mandatory minicamps?
Right.
You see, the thing is that you don't win games on Sunday. You win games during the week. You win games in OTAs. You win games in minicamps. Because as a leader, you can never ask more than you're willing to give. That was a requirement. That's what mandatory means. You have to be in attendance. When they're voluntary, we know what voluntary means. And so the culture is not going to be conducive for winning as long as he's a part of it. Because I don't believe he's conducive for winning.
I don't recall what y'all position was. So if y'all have spoken on it and I've forgotten, please forgive me. But I got to ask y'all this again. Ryan Clark made a lot of noise, a lot of news, because he responded to what Aaron Rodgers had to say about former players coming on national television and being pundits and stuff like that. And so for me, I'm sure as a reporter, I'm going to do what we do, and that's that.
Yeah.
But he seemed to be aiming his ire on that appearance from Pat McAfee from a couple of weeks ago at former players who didn't do what he did, commenting about it. Now, obviously, in y'all case, that's not the case because you're three-time Super Bowl champion, Please, he can't say that about y'all. But what did y'all make of what Aaron Rodgers had to say about former players becoming pundits and saying the things that they said? What was y'all reaction to that? Go ahead, Shannon.
Well, a lot of people don't remember I played because I'm so good in my second career, Stephen. They forgot I had a first career in the NFL, and I make no apologies for that.
That's right.
But it's right because a lot of times players feel that if you didn't have as great a career as they have, they're beyond reproach. And my thing is, I vehemently disagree. I strenuously disagree with that. Because I played the game, and I'm just talking about because a lot of times, Saturday, you know this. Is that when you critique a historically great player and you find flaws in what they're doing currently, it's almost like they feel you're trying to wash away what they did in the past. Right. Aaron Rodgers is a four-time MVP. He's a Super Bowl champion. But Aaron Rodgers is not currently playing well, not to the level of expectations that we hold Aaron Rodgers to. Because when you're a great player, they don't compare you to other great players. They compare you to a younger version of yourself. And he's not that. And that's okay. That doesn't take away that he's been a multiple-time MVP. That doesn't take away that he's been that. And what he did, Stephen A., if you notice, he put it in there, ask him if he's vaxxed. So therefore, he's trying to discredit anybody that has a vaccination. He's going to try to discredit you because you're saying this because I'm not vaxxed. See, that's how he hedged it. So now he's trying to cast the doubt on RC, and because Ryan Clark is vaccinated, you should disregard everything that he said. And I disagree with that. I don't think Aaron Rodgers, go back and look it up. I've been one of Aaron Rodgers' biggest fans, but I've always called him arrogant. I've always called him flippant. I've always called him smug. I've always called him condescending. I've always said he's placed blame on others when he should have pointed the finger at himself. So that has not changed. Is he a historically transcendent great quarterback? Absolutely. But a lot of the things that I've called out against Aaron Rodgers have become to bear fruit when he's with the Jets.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely agree with what Shannon is saying. I think when you when he's talking about players who have come out, some of the best former players are backup players who basically sat in the seat of a coach for however many years, and they look at the game completely different than a guy like Shannon who played each and every Sundays in the Hall of Fame. And for everybody who thinks his new career is better than his old, you don't know, you ain't watched Shannon Sharpe because the dude was a freaking beast, right? So like, dude did it different, right? And so he's a dude. Now, Aaron Rodgers is a dude on the football field and has been a dude on the football field. He is not what he once was, and he's 100% right. And the problem is we are comparing him to Peyton Manning, who went to Denver and won a Super Bowl, to Tom Brady, who went to Tampa and won a Super Bowl. Yes. Aaron tried to do the same thing, and it has not worked out that way. So now a ton of criticism is going his way. I think Ryan Clark spoke very clearly, and I respected the heck out of the way he said it, because if you're attacking him, vax, whatever all that nonsense is, like when you think about what Ryan Clark had a heck of a career in the NFL, and he does a great job on television as well. I love that former players get to sit on set and on the platform that we have and tell people about our game and explain our game from a different viewpoint, because reporters can't do it, coaches can't do it, dudes who put their hand in the dirt can do it, and I love it. And I love everybody's role. I love reporters' roles. I love coaches' roles. And so I think everybody who has a voice and can do it and it can articulate a great point and be open and honest, because if Aaron looked at his career, looked at this year's numbers compared to what he had done in the past, he did not bring the difference that he expected to bring to New York.
Stephen A., you remember when players used to say, these guys didn't play the game, so they don't know what it's like.
That's right.
Well, if former players can't critique current players, and you don't want journalists to critique current players. So who get to critique you?
Right.
If you saying Jeff Saturday, Shannon Sharpe, or Ryan Clark, or whomever cannot offer an analysis of you, and you refuse to be critiqued or analyzed by a journalist, who gets to offer critique? Are you now saying you're beyond reproach because I'm not Joe Montana, I'm not Peyton Manning or Tom Brady? I don't get to critique you?
Yeah.
Based on my knowledge of the game, the years that I played, and studying the game, so I get to offer nothing because you're saying your career is so great, you're so much better of a player than I am. How dare you put on that hat and say what I did was wrong? That's where I disagree.
Here's where Aaron Rodgers, in my opinion, messed up. Aaron Rodgers is a four-time league MVP and a Super Bowl champion, and is universally recognized one of the greatest quarterbacks who have ever played this game.
Yeah.
Based on his assertion, if you ain't Peyton Manning or Tom Brady or somebody of that ilk, you don't have any business talking about him.
Right.
That makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. That's number one. Number two, one of the things that I always used to religiously bring up as a reporter, why I was so bold, was because it was where I got my knowledge from. See, the beauty of a show like First Take and various other shows, you're inviting dudes who played the game, as you would say, Jeff, who put their fingers in the dirt.
Yeah.
To educate you about something. So here's my point. Everybody's entitled to their opinion, right, Shannon? I'll go up to Shannon and I'll give my opinion. Shannon will be like, let me tell you what I know because I played. Okay, here. And here's where I would get Shannon or anybody like Shannon. 2 weeks later, if you say something different, wait a minute now, because you told me.
Right.
So in other words, as a reporter, the things that reporters make a mistake doing is when you want to act like you played and you want to act like you know what they know, like you did what they did. No, but where you are on an equal playing field is when your level of expertise comes from those very people.
Right.
Aaron Rodgers doesn't realize all we have to do is go back and listen to one clip after another over the course of your illustrious career where you've talked about things and you talked about situations and you've explained and educated and edified people. And then we go like this, okay, well, if that's true, then how come it's not true now that we're talking about you?
Right.
Because you're the one that provided that level of education about the expertise. So if you're a reporter, if you're a columnist or a pundit who did not play, but you've listened to those who have, and you've peeled from their level of expertise, and you're just holding folks accountable as to the consistency of the narrative that they may put out there. When a cat comes back at you, you know you just being sensitive.
Right.
You and your feelings because now you're the subject matter instead of somebody that you used to talk about.
Yeah.
And that's where Aaron Rodgers has fallen off because his sensitivity level has heightened. And where did it start? He doesn't realize when he brought up the vax issue with Ryan Clark, he hurt himself more than ever because up until then, whether it was smugness, arrogance, or anything else, we always considered Aaron Rodgers a pretty honest dude. But then what happened with the vax was you said you were immunized and you tried to evade acknowledging that you were vaccinated, and because people held you accountable for your lack of authenticity and truth in that particular situation, you've been salty ever since. But bringing up the vax hurts you. It doesn't hurt Ryan Clark because all it did was remind us of how you lie. I love Aaron Rodgers, always have. I think he's one of the greatest quarterbacks that's ever played this game. Love seeing him, love talking to him on the rare occasion that we talk to one another. I don't get involved with all the smugness, arrogance, because I think you got to have a healthy level of it in order to be successful. But when he did that, he hurt himself.
Yeah,
he hurt himself.